Hello again YouTube, I'm back again with another video game soundtrack review. My third one so far, and the last one I'm going to be doing before I start taking requests from commenters. Now, if you've been following my channel, you already know the soundtrack I've been doing. But for those who haven't been, it's a famous series by Capcom, and a series made famous by Keiji Inafune. You probably already know Mega Man 1 for the NES. Now, I mentioned in my first video that I'm a huge fan of the Mega Man soundtracks, 1 through 6 for the NES, as I feel they exemplify some of the best music from that era. The main caveat with all the Mega Man music is that it strays away from sounding like real-world instruments and goes for a more synthesized metallic electronic sound, befitting a violent robot-filled future. Even though it strays away from using sounds that would emulate guitar or drums, each song carries with it its own unique character. However, you may find that character somewhat lacking with the Mega Man 1 soundtrack compared to, say, 2 or 3. A couple of the tracks we'll listen to first that I really enjoy, I find are the top ones from this. For instance, let's load up Lekman. Now, the beat right at the beginning of the song, you don't encounter that kind of tune anywhere else in the game, and it's sad though that the rest of that song does not include that beat. However, that particular beat makes the song memorable. It makes it catchy. Just remembering that couple seconds, you can recall the rest of the song all by heart. It makes the stage an absolute joy to play through. It sets an early mood, energy. Energy, of course, for a Robot Master that's all about electricity. Another particularly good track from another Robot Master is Fireman. Again, much for the same reason. Because he also shares a unique intro that makes the song his own. See, I do have a theory when it comes to the Robot Master themes. A catchy intro, or a unique intro, carries the rest of the song and makes it memorable long after you finish playing them. Take a look at Shadow Man, Snake Man, I want to say Flash Man, maybe Heat Man. They're all really good songs. But a good intro makes or breaks it. Now that's where we come to the bad point of this review. See, there are quite a few songs in here that I find don't have character that lend themselves to being memorable to the Robot Master. I think the perfect example of this is Bomb Man. Aside from being a slow tempo, there's really nothing about this song that strikes me as remarkable. It stands out. Tempo does not make for a unique song. Gutsman's theme is not too much slower, not too much faster than this. And of course, just above that is Cutman. Now, I know some will argue against me knocking Gutsman or Cutsman's theme, but I also have a theory about that. Because for most Mega Man players, if they have any knowledge of the weapon system, they'll likely go to Gutsman first, and he's most likely the very first Robot Master theme you hear. And fair enough, you are going to remember that. You will remember your first Robot Master. Although for me, I chose to go with Cutman. I also like a challenge. But I find that without some unique characteristic for the introduction of the song, there's just not a whole lot of reason to remember the rest of it too. My other main gripe with the soundtrack is mostly that it is somewhat primitive. Although I really like the song, the stage intro, which we'll listen to right now, that is the very first iteration of it. And though it's a fantastic tune that carries itself through 3 or 4 iterations of the first 6 Mega Man games, it's very primitive sounding. It's very simplistic. And if you want perfect examples of that, take a look at the boss theme and the Wily boss theme for the final boss. I won't play them right now because they are extremely short loops. If you take a look at the soundtrack for the time markings on them, the boss theme is only 22 seconds. Wily boss theme, 31 seconds. I find those themes very grating. Now, we're going to go for the Wily stages next, and I want to discuss Mega Man 2's Wily theme. So for stage 1. Now, this song's not too bad, but you might be able to pick up where it may have evolved into the super popular Wily's stage theme from Mega Man 2. If you listen to them side by side, you can almost pick up where the inspiration came from. It was there, it just had to be fully realized. And then of course you get to Wily Stage 2. In all fairness, I am not a big fan of this theme at all. Yes, it portrays a sense of urgency that propels you to move forward at ever-increasing danger, but it just seems so bland, a little uninspired, and trust me, after you hear it for about 4 loops, it becomes tedious. It's overall just not a great track. Now, one last track that I do want to go over, and this is actually a really good one, is the ending theme. Now, this is kind of a long one, so you may prefer to listen to this standalone on the soundtrack as opposed to me talking over it. But when you hear this song at the end of the game, you can almost see how it created the Mega Man theme song that you hear in Mega Man 2. You know, the panoramic shot of the city, Mega Man standing atop a skyscraper. Now this song's really good. It builds up over the course of the song, but keeps a joyous, jovial tune. Which should make sense, as you've beaten the game, you've conquered every enemy. Side by side, you can kind of almost compare it to the Contra's ending theme, except the switch of tone is not as dramatic, whereas Contra was being all about being serious and shooting bullets and killing fools. Yeah, okay, there are some similarities, but Contra was all about, the super macho, serious type. Mega Man was never one to take itself seriously. It's a fun game for the sake of being fun, and the music is there as a bonus. Now, considering all the points that I've made, it pains me to say it, but I can only really give this track a 5 out of 10. Now, before any of you actually decide to flame me for this, hear me out. Granted, Elecman and Fireman's themes both boast a unique intro that creates character for their songs. Cutman also does, but I find that the tone used at the beginning, it's not as different as you would find from the other songs. It's simply the sequence in which it occurs. I do like the intro theme. I just feel like the rest of the song, it meshes too closely with some of the other generic Robot Master themes. I won't even go over Iceman. However, that being said, the energy for Cutman's theme song, along with Elecman and Fireman, it makes it really good to listen to. I can't suggest the soundtrack for anybody that just plans on leisurely listening to it. It goes best in the context of the game. The Wily stages were kind of weak. Wily Boss and the regular boss theme, I don't care for those at all. The main point with this soundtrack you have to keep in mind is this is simply a prelude to greater things to come. Much like the actual game itself, Mega Man 1 was an okay game. Mega Man 2 is a legacy game. It carries with it a certain amount of weight, no matter what kind of gamer you are. And the same thing's true with the soundtrack. The jump in quality is massive. Anyways, whether or not you agree with my 5 out of 10, that's my piece. And thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe, give me a like if you enjoy my reviews. I should have the next soundtrack for my review up in about 3 to 4 days, and hopefully the review up the day after. I'm hoping to do some soundtracks that I haven't actually listened to before, but I may also want to do something that I'm comfortable with, that I know I can give a good review on. But if I have not played a game that I'm doing the soundtrack review for, I will post a disclaimer about it. But it might be a good idea to give it an unbiased review without having played the game. Judge it purely based on the music. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you look forward to my next video, and have a good night.